Hey guys, here I'm John, coming back to another Infinite Magicraid video. I want to go over really quickly what is the difference when we're talking about Temple and we're talking about these Mythic champions. I know I posted in my last video. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to go ahead and review some of the comments on that video as well, because there was some suggestions for me on my build, what I should have, why I should have them, and I want to talk about it. I want to go through and I want to talk about which champions here make the most sense on an account like mine, and then in general what everyone else should be kind of looking for when they are looking for other characters, because not every character is going to impact an account the same. It's not like there is one character that's always a you must have, right? When we think about characters and when it comes to Infinite Magicraid, you really have to think about, okay, what synergizes with my current lineup or box, as they like to call it, and what do I really need on my account to push forward? Because we all know food in this game is a problem. Which also means that you have a lot of legendaries like these that never get built or ascended. They may get leveled up, but they never really take over or grab hold of your account because you just don't have enough food to really properly invest into them unless you're a high tier whale. I myself am not a high tier whale, so it's kind of hard for me. So I have to kind of look at this and justify, okay, what makes the most sense for me as a content creator and a free-to-play player to get my account to go the furthest that it could possibly do. So let's go ahead and let's talk about it, and we'll dive into it. We'll go into exactly what champion I'm going to be going for myself or that I'm going to make, and I'm going to tell you why. All right, stay tuned. All right, so first things first, guys, I did get the camera a little fixed here. It doesn't seem as laggy now, which is nice. That drives me nuts. I have a really nice 4K camera. I don't like it when it just looks like crap. So I am glad to see that, and it's not so stuttery. Even my hand gestures, you can see that's keeping up with it, which is great. Unfortunately, I had to unplug a lot more things on the computer, but the mic is good, the camera's good, lighting's good, we're good to roll. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So first things first, when we talk about the temple, what is the temple? The temple is where you can go and actually get your Mythic Hero Shards exchanged for champions that you want. Now these champions, you'll notice in our tier list, are not really ranked in here because they're very circumstantial for which account is best utilized with that champion. And the reason why I say it like that is because all these champions are very good. Actually, there is not really a bad Mythic champion out of the whole lineup. They all have a purpose, right? So when we talk about this and we talk about what purpose is it, what does it matter, you're going to notice that there's a lot of different aspects to go into this, right? You have your what faction are they from? Are they red mark, blue mark, force mark, attack, defense, support? There are a lot of aspects that go into this that you kind of need to think of. So first things first, what I'm looking at personally from my perspective, and then I'm going to challenge you guys when you're going to think about which Mythic champion you're going to go for, is what areas of the game are you struggling? Where do you need to advance? And how is it that your current team is set up? So for example, Dwarven Ruins, I made really good progress, and then I just immediately dead stop halt on floor 25. I cannot beat it. I don't have any burn champions. So my count is super lacking when it comes to that, because unfortunately burn is just so impactful in this game that it makes it really hard to progress without that. Like I have a lot of single target damage nukers and I have all the best support. But if I don't have enough damage, how am I gonna progress, right? So for example, I'm stuck on stage 25. And then when we talk about like a free, you really need to have dot damage on him too, right? Like it's one of those situations where you need really good dot damage to beat some of these stages. And as you can see here, I'm at stage 17 over here. And really I need to be pushing this one because I don't even have all of the right end game gear pieces for my champions, right? Like for example, I think I have Gahana here, and she's A5, but I don't even have anything here because I've never gotten it. Well, how am I gonna progress? So really what I have to do is I have to look at my champion lineup. So I have to look at the full picture here. So as you can see here, I have support, I have damage, support, damage, awesome. But then I have all these supports. And I have some of the best support champions, right? Like for example, Gahana and Alan are amazing champions to have for support. But same thing, Schindler is also a very good support unit. Same thing with space all the way down here. Now I have other champions that I could invest in that would be very worthwhile. Liz is someone who everyone knows she's good. She could be very useful, and she does place HP burn, so I could technically use her as an HP burn. But unfortunately, you really need someone who's more reliable for HP burn to make it worth it. So Liz isn't really an option for me to build at the moment, unless I had other HP burn champions to kind of pair her with, maybe a little bit more synergy, right? or someone who has a counterattack ability that they can hand out, like, for example, Alina or like Holder, right? Those two will place the counterattack, which then would make someone like Liz viable as an HP burner because her HP burn mainly comes from her A1. So it's things like that you got to think of. Like, you got to think of that synergy. Like, what makes the most sense when you're talking about who do I want to utilize and what mythic champion do I need to go with? So with that being said, you can see I have the support. I do have 3 good damage dealers here. I mean, Luz is a good damage dealer. Hertha is a great damage dealer as well. And I did just pull the Elbeck, who is going to be an amazing damage dealer, I think. I feel like he's going to be really good. We're going to see. We're going to try him out, and we're going to see. If he doesn't perform, we're going to regress him. But I feel like he's going to be a very solid one. But one other thing that I want to point out here is notice that I have 4 solid blue champions here. And out of those 4 solid blue champions, I only have 1 damage dealer. So that's another thing to keep in mind. It's okay, so how am I going to progress Tower of Mark if I only have support and I don't really have a good damage dealer? You're not, right? So that's kind of the thing you got to keep in the back of your head is, okay, what champion should I really focus on to push this type of content? And also, is there a mythic champion that falls along this line? So as we look through here, do I have any blue ones, for example? When I say blue ones, I'm talking about the marks there. That would make a difference here. Unfortunately, there really isn't an option. You got Nita here. She's a poison debuff AoE damage dealer, right? So she's got the poisons, AoE. And poison isn't bad. It is pretty good. She's also got the heal. She's got deep poisoning, resistance buff. She's not terrible, but she's a great AoE. But I already have a great AoE, right? I have Margarita. So do I really need to go with a blue mark champion that isn't necessarily going to give me a lot of more benefit other than what my Margarita is going to be? The answer to that one is no. So I don't want to focus on that too much, but I want to make sure that you guys are aware of this, right? Because say, for example, I go with Lucifer, right? Lucifer is red mark. Okay, well, what kind of a red mark do I have? What kind of Doom Legion do I have to support with him? What kind of attack champions do I have to go with him? Because when you think about it, you got to think, okay, what talents have I been focusing on? Like, right, where are these at? What are leveled up? What mark talents are like, you know, keep those kinds of things in the back of your mind because that impacts the passive stats on your characters. So if you don't pick the right characters, you don't synergize properly, then you're not running the right dungeons, the right faction crypts to really, or faction abyss, sorry, to really maximize your potential here, right? Like, it's those little things here. And then the other thing to think about is also you have to have good gear. So Dwarven Ruins, in my opinion, is one of the first priorities, is because you have to get to stage 26. Most people, even if they are free to play, are going to get their mythic champion fairly soon. I got it super late, but that's because I wasn't really min-maxing my events properly. I wasn't min-maxing these like I should. And that's where I'm at right now, right? So now you can see here, like even these events here, look, I still haven't finished them out. I started on them, but I forgot about them. So, and the same thing with Challenger Marius. Like, look, here's these 2 right here. I haven't done this at all. I really need to be running this overnight to hopefully get all the Challenge Marius done, so that way I can get those others, mythic shards, right? But since we can go ahead and craft 1, I want to go ahead and talk about, for my account, what's going to make the most sense. So comments on YouTube were pretty spot on. For the most part, everyone on the YouTube channel who did leave a comment, which thank you very much for everyone who congratulated me on the engagement. I do appreciate that. It's very sweet of you guys. We're very excited. Can't wait. But one thing a lot of people said is like, hey, you have Seville, which is great, right? Which she is. She's an amazing champion because she can do a lot of damage. You also have Zaya, another straight damage dealer. Everyone that was like, well, Ben Austin, Zaya, Seville. Sounds like a great DBS combo to me. Lucifer, Ben Austin, Luna. Like, you guys gave really good suggestions. I can't disagree with you. Most everyone was saying Lucifer, Ben Austin. Actually, Ben Austin's right here. So yeah, Ben Austin, Lucifer, and then the other one that people were saying was Luna. Now, I don't think I really need Luna, to be honest with you guys. I do understand she is a revival, she's heal, she's cleanse, she's protection. She has a lot going on in her kit, which is very helpful. I do understand that completely. However, I feel like I have Maya already. I don't need her necessarily, and I have other good support units, so maybe that's not a good option. So what makes the most sense here between Ben Austin and Lucifer? We'll break it down, because that's kind of what I was thinking. Honestly, I was leaning more towards Lucifer than I was Ben Austin, because I really needed that really good single target damage dealer, right? On top of that, he also has defensive down that he can place, which is huge, right? So 840% damage here, which can get booked up to, what is that, 1,000% damage, basically? 60, 120, 180, plus 840, so 1020 damage here, and 20% more damage if the target has a debuff or has a buff or a debuff. So even then, once they get hit with the defensive down here, like, oh well, actually that's only if I get them exclusive, sorry, forgot about that. But if they have a buff or a debuff, which chances are they will, that's a crap load more damage, right? So he's gonna hit super hard. On top of that, he's gonna be stealth, right? So he's not gonna get targeted, and when he is stealth status, his crit rate increases by 30% and crit damage by 30%. For the duration extends one more turn if Lucifer is under stealth status while he kills a target, right? So if he kills somebody, then he stays stealth for even one more turn, which then once again gives you the 30% crit, 30% crit damage. Gives you a really powerful first shot right off the rip, because getting 100% crit rate is a little hard in this game. The next thing we have is deals 550% attack damage to a single enemy, inflicts feebleness on them, and grants self-stealth for 2 turns. So he's going to continue to keep himself stealthed up for 2 turns here, which then means you, once again, crit rate goes up by 30, crit damage goes up by 30. So you get a lot of crit out of him, right? He crits super easily, which then means you can kind of back off a little bit on what gear you're using and get more crit damage to really allow him to scale up higher, which makes him a super powerful damage dealer, right? And then his A1 here, deal 200% attack damage to a single enemy. When crit is triggered, launches another attack. So once again, 30% crit rate, because he's going to be stealth most of the time. So he's going to get another crit at a cool attack. After killing the target, attacks the target with the lowest HP up to 2 times. So basically, he can hit twice. If he kills them, he's going to target the lowest champion again, attack them. When attacking the same target, the damage dealt for the second time is 70% of the previous one. This portion of it, I don't like. That seems a little hoodwink to myself. But at the same time, it's a lot of damage that he's going to be outputting. I think it's going to be super impactful if I were to get him for my account. Let's go look at Ben Austin. What's the takeaway here for Ben Austin? Well, first things first, unfortunately, he's a green mark, which is not helpful. He's a support unit, which I have a lot of those. So do I really need another one? That's the first thought. But let's look at his kit. Remove all buffs from an enemy target and then inflicts resistance buff on them for 1 turn. Cleanses all control effects from all allies and makes them pursue and attack this enemy target 1 time. Basically, it forces whoever you target to get attacked by the entire team, which is kind of nice because then you get a good group attack type of thing to really nuke someone down, right? Moving forward, we have a passive ability. Ben Austin has a 20% chance to cleanse all control effects from any ally who falls under control effects. So basically, every single time someone hits me with a stun, sleep, whatever the control effect is, there is a 20% chance which gets booked up to 28% chance to automatically cleanse it, to make it just doesn't exist, right? And then once you get him E2, then he also has they gain 50% effective resistance for 2 turns. So not only oh hey, we can cleanse it, but then you can also trigger it to where they get more resistance up, which is huge, right? The next thing we have is A2, deals 2 stages of 100% attack damage to each to all enemies, so it's AoE, with a 35% chance to increase the cooldowns of the target's both active skills by 1 turn, not exceeding the original cooldowns. Basically, any skill that your opponent has, which, let's be honest, unless they're booked, it's going to have a 3 to 5 turn cooldown on average. So this means for Arena, after the first round and everyone's used their ulti, you can actually fully extend the ulti 1 more turn with that 35% chance to increase, and which actually gets booked up to 40, 45, 50% increase, which is huge. Those who have played Raid Shadow Legends, you guys know this is definitely a very viable portion in that game. Same thing with Awakened Chaos era. Godfairy has this ability, and it made Arena so challenging for a lot of people because they weren't able to, if this character went first, then you were locked out, basically. Very, very good ability here. It's very interesting. The only thing I don't like is it cannot exceed the original cooldowns. But I do wonder if that also means okay, so if it's booked to -1, does that mean it can really go up to 4? You know what I mean? If it's booked to a 3 turn, does that mean it could go to a 4 turn because that was what it started with? I don't know. We'd have to do some testing to figure that out. But either way, very good. The other thing to talk about here is the fact that deal 100% attack damage to a single enemy with a 30% chance to reduce their defense by 60% for 2 turns. Defensive down 2 on a A1 ability is huge. It's massive, especially because it's defensive down 2. That's a lot of defensive down, which means they take a lot of damage. Then the ally with the highest attack pursues and attacks the same target 1 time. So basically, every time he attacks you, not only can he place an attack down, or defensive down, sorry, he then gets a joint attack from a random ally to come in and attack them. So if you have, say, for example, 3 damage dealers, 2 supports, chances are you are going to have a good chance of bringing in one of the damage dealers to go attack the opponent that you selected as well. Ben Austin is definitely not a character to sleep on by any means. Focus Fire is literally because of this ulti here, right? Which then allows the entire team to focus on that one champion and nuke them down. Super solid champion. What about my account? What do I need for my account? When we talk about damage dealers, I have Xayah, she's great. I have Margarita, she's great. I have Sylvie, she's great. Green Mark, okay. Interesting. Blue Mark, okay. Force Mark, right? So it's, you know, I already have a good green mark element here, but I don't have a whole lot of them. I could really use some more green marks here, and then I could actually start building up even my space to really help me if I were to go with Ben Austin. Now, if I go with Lucifer, because he is the best attack, like as far as when you're talking about pure damage, single target damage, Xayah is amazing. With this ability right here, absolutely amazing. However, Lucifer does even more damage. And we're talking a lot of attack damage. Now, when we look at red marks here, we have a Whim who's already maxed out. We have a Luz who's going to be AoE damage when he gets built. I have a Megan, another single target damage, and I have Aisha. I could really use a pretty good force red mark here. Now, I do have Elbeck, which he's going to get built, and that'll help with that a little bit, I think. I think Elbeck, Lucifer, Alina, probably a Reeves, honestly. And last but not least, a Whim is going to be my go-to for the red marks, to be honest with you guys. I think that's going to be the go-to. So I honestly think for my account, getting Lucifer makes the most difference. Now, also when we start talking about, okay, well, what makes the difference here, like moving forward? Do you get the same character? Do you have to pick another character? Those are all questions that really need to be tackled when you're thinking about, okay, what mythic champion am I going to be utilizing? Because if you don't take in consideration, okay, well, at what point do they get all their exclusives and what makes them the best? Okay, so his first one is Feebleness 2 instead of an additionally inflict severe wound for 2 turns. So that turns into Feebleness 2, which is even more impactful. This is on an E1. What about Ben Austin? What does Ben Austin's exclusive 1 do? Steals 10% of the target's turn meter when successfully increasing the cooldown of their skills. So depending on his A2 for the cooldown extension, you can also steal 10% of the target turn meter. That is good. That's less impactful than Lucifer's though, right? And then when we start talking about, okay, well, what if you get all the way down here? Like level 3 resets its cooldowns if it fails to kill the enemy target. That's really, really amazing. However, you got to really take into consideration that has taken me 90 days to get, over 90 days to get 1 mythic champion. So that means it's going to take me another 360 days to get 2 more of them. Chances of me getting this E3 here are very, very slim for anytime soon. However, Lucifer, he's going to have a very good E1 right off the rip. E2 is gains an additional 15% crit damage and additional attacks, no longer reduced damage. That is going to be massive here. So his get more impactful quicker than Ben Austin's do. So I'm going to go with Lucifer. We're going to go ahead and we are going to craft him. Boom, we have confirmed it. We have created our very first mythic champion, ladies and gentlemen. Free to play, free to succeed. First mythic, we went with Lucifer here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get him like built up as I possibly can here. And we're just going to go for it. Honestly, it makes a big difference when you get these types of champions in the lineups and with progressing your account, right? As you can see here, we're getting all these resources saved up. I'm trying to save up everything that I possibly can to get the best resources possible for my account. I'm not even gonna bother pulling shards anymore because they keep hitting to hit pity, which sucks, but it's okay. We got a lot of things. We're gonna go max out Lucifer here, kind of get some more kickbacks from his hero training goals, and we'll let you guys know how well Lucifer does in my lineup. That's gonna do it for this mythic champion review guide, essentially. Let me know what you think. I do want to do a video where I just talk about all of the mythic champions in general. Maybe we'll do that. We'll add it to the docket. We'll get it done this weekend or next weekend. We'll see what happens. But I do need to talk about it because I think mythic champions are one of those things where everyone needs to be aware of what they're getting into when we talk about them, because I see a lot of people who will recommend going for champions that maybe don't make the most sense for your account, but are great champions, right? There's that synergy and that fine line that everyone has to be cognizant of when you're really looking into progressing your account. That's gonna do it for me. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.